There are quite a few fighting games that really stood out in the mobile platform, and Skullgirls could be one of them. After a few taps and swipes, it felt like I was playing with an actual joystick in my hands because of how the controls were smoothly set up and laid out. With its diverse range of characters and in-depth RPG facet, Skullgirls ports the same gaming experience from its console predecessors and tailor-fit it in the mobile setting. And based on my extensive head-on plunge into this game, it really looks like a top-caliber 2D fighter with little to no visible flaws through and through. Released in 2017 by Hidden Variable Studios in collaboration with the Japanese-based communications app Line, Skullgirls is the same 2D fighting game that was launched on console platforms in 2012. Back with its 1940s-inspired cartoon design and bebop jazz tunes, which we can heavily associate with cafe music, Skullgirls differs itself from its more visually edgy and bloody brutal contemporaries but never lacks the hard-hitting aspect that all 2D fighting games were founded on. For those who have no idea about its origin, the world of Skullgirls is set in a corrupt alternate universe of post-war America, where almost everyone has become obsessed with a prized artifact known as the Skull Heart. Once every 7 years, the Skull Heart becomes active and can grant any wish coming from a woman. However, there's a catch. If the woman has an impure and evil heart, her wish will be corrupted and eventually, she'll be turned into a monster called a Skullgirl. From strictly being a straight-up fighting game, this handheld iteration offers quite a handful of in-depth gameplay dynamics, which are deeply rooted in its gacha mechanics and RPG aspect that is bulging at the seams. For starters, Skullgirls Mobile has tier-based rarities, elemental affinity, and advanced skill tree system in place to create intriguing matchups and provide a perpetually challenging environment to both casual players and those who want to slug it out with online foes. The game's story mode is where the journey begins. Still being tied up with its lukewarm narrative, you have to tread your way in a non-linear story progression path that branches into several nodes, which offers a varying set of rewards. And as you keep button smashing your way through the apex of each story mode, the upgrading and gacha part finally comes into play to tie up the knot of the game's core loop. Back in the day when the bulky, token-operated arcade cabinets were still a pretty big deal, my go-to games would be either one-on-one 2D fighting games like the Street Fighter series. But I would later on digress to team-based sluggers like Tekken Tag and Marvel vs. Capcom series. Despite the lack of physical joystick in my reach, Skullgirls delivers the same teeth-gritting, edge-of-your-seat type of action due to its flexible control mechanics. The smooth transition of the combat system is the first thing that you would notice as you play the game. The basic movement and attacking patterns were seamlessly integrated to conveniently adapt to the mobile environment courtesy of swiping gestures for grapple and dashing moves and repetitive tapping to strike a flurry of sequential combos. Though the adjustment in the controls is quite necessary to maximize the much smaller screen space to work around, the tag team base core remains intact from its original version, and you can still switch and do character assist with just a single tap. Though the characters of Skullgirls doesn't cast a bad silhouette or carry a superhuman-like demeanor like Marvel, Street Fighter, and even Tekken characters, each of them has their own unique personalities and qualities that mirrors their respective fighting styles. And there are also multiple affinity-based duplicates for each of them to give you more character dynamics during combat. Despite being anchored on its RNG-driven nature, the balance and competitive aspect of the game remains uncompromised as you can still pull off wins against high-tiered characters on skills alone. Though the power-ups and stat boosts can definitely help your cause in a big way, there's still a big chance to defeat a much stronger opposition as long as you're the tap or the swipe quicker than them. With this kind of output, I definitely vouch for Skullgirls as the top honcho of the Breaking Skulls and Breaking Bones game category, at least for mobile. It is one of those RNG-based games that I'm willing to splurge my money on and not regret it later, plainly because of its well-designed character art, advanced skill tree feature, and impressively coordinated combat system. Do you think Skullgirls is the best fighting game out there? Let me know your thoughts on this one through your comments below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel for fresh game reviews weekly. That's it. See you on our next game breakdown.